Right there.
That's AJ. Who did not make the playoffs, the defending champ. See, it says there were two of you here on the stream.
We forgot the decimal point.
All right, season recap and playoff preview. I gotta say, this week was it was a shootout with a lot of matchups. I'm still in a shootout with Alejandro. I mean, I think the worst he could do is tie. So I need a fair number of RBIs, and I gotta hope I don't just drop out with hits because average is close. But hell of a matchup with me and Alejandro. He wanted to beat me this week and put me in the 6th seed. I don't know if I would have fell to the 6th seed the way these playoffs, the final matchups of the season panned out. Well, we should just jump right into it, right, and recap the week real quick, and then I'll recap the season with you guys, and then we'll talk about the playoffs, and then I pulled a quick little for the people that made the playoffs, or as it's looking right now, like some interesting thing about each team. Nothing big, but that's something to throw in at the end. And then if you guys, there's 3 of you watching. I don't know. Oh, okay. So Dale's in. I don't know if AG's gonna join the stream, but he's more than welcome to jump in. I have a beer ready to toast to the season. So I don't know if you guys have one ready, a drink or something, but we toast to another good season. I think the most competitive season we had, and last year was the case. Boy, here's to the playoffs. Yeah, dude. But this shit just gets better and better every year. And cheers, guys. Great season, man. Great season, guys. I'll be having a couple of these during the live stream. I knew the Alejandro matchup was going to be tough, and he made a run this year, and he definitely contributed to spoilers for other teams, hitting them hard at the end in terms of matchups and losses, and he came at me this week. So again, he's won. Chewy, Efren, all those guys that I've seen and David that have continued to set your lineups throughout the end. It really made a difference in how the final standings went, and people didn't get to walk into the playoffs. So, thank you guys for keeping up with your team. AJ, he I think could have set his lineup better against Adam, but he continued setting his lineup, and it kept the season interesting for everyone, even those who clinched a playoff spot, because things got shaken up even for those. So thank you guys. And some crazy matchups this week. A great way to finish the season with some people playing spoiler, knocking some people out of contention, putting themselves in the playoffs. And Moy, Carlos, great job with those last couple weeks. Adam had a little scare with Chewy, came all the way up to today. Eric took a big loss, and Carlos was a must-win. Eric with the breaking news. This will be his last year playing. So he just texted me that right now. Okay, you try to go out with the win, right? So, maybe temporarily it's your last week. Usually you mean what you say, right? So if you say it's your last year, Eric, it's been really fun, man. You've been one of the since the beginning. So that's awesome, man. That you played for so long. So thanks for playing, dude. And hopefully it's you take it to the end, man. We make the league great again, and it didn't happen, huh? Okay, well, it was at least competitive, man. It was competitive for sure. So I'll cheers to you, Eric, for your last season, and hopefully you can make it to the end. You made a hell of a run this year, and you finished last year, putting yourself in a great position for this year. So cheers to you, Eric, on your last season. Oh, I got another hit. Yeah, Wilson Ramos, guys, beasting, 25-game hitting streak, third longest in Mets history. Yeah, I know my hairline's getting jacked. Thanks. I don't know why I cheers to you. I tried to give you a little farewell and talking shit about my hairline. You're whatever, dude. um, at least it's not peppered or gray, but I'd rather have gray hair than no hair. So I guess that's on me. Okay, so going back into the matchups. Crying. I like the comments. You can keep it up, guys. Yeah, so Adam had a scare against Chewy. Carlos, big win. AJ took out Justin's chance, and Moy took out Joe. So that's heartbreaking for Joe. He was in contention the whole time. Justin was in contention the whole time, and I think that's the hardest way to lose is coming down to the final week where you're in position. Joe was winning in position. Justin needed people to lose, and he needed to win. So, but still, they had a chance, and they were in it the whole season. And that's a hard way to lose. But like I said, I'm happy I clinched the playoff spot last week, and this week was just trying to enjoy another week of fantasy with you, the whole league, and trying to watch my team and see if I start seeing hopefully they're like heating up, and I'm sure you guys are watching my team like, damn, I hope I had a competitive week this week so that it continues next week, and hopefully none of the playoff teams players got hurt or anything, and we can have a really good playoff postseason with the league. But looking at the season as a whole, I think there was, I think from week 5, 6, those that were in contention stayed in contention. I think the majority of them stayed in contention. There were, of the 14 teams, 4 or 5 teams that I don't think had ever had not never had the chance, but could never get over the hump of getting into contention. Carlos was a great run at the end. I had him pegged halfway through the season as possibly not making the playoffs, and man, his pitching is really good, and his pitcher Verlander threw him a no-hitter today. So, like, that's the kind of stuff like you see in baseball where you're like, damn, when those things are happening for your team. When Carlos went on the run that he did, beat the first place team, and his pitcher had a no-hitter. Like, if I'm fantasy-wise, like, if I see that with my team, I'm like, damn. Like, that's what I want to see going into the playoffs, that I have the team that can beat the first place team, put up great stats, have great pitching. Like, his 1-2, Verlander and Scherzer are going to be, and I think he has Lucas Giolito. Like, he's good. He's in a great playoff position. Moy was a team that kind of stayed within that 5 through 8 seed throughout the season and just kept yourself in contention. And then when you needed to get a push and got a couple teams got key losses, you came out on top of those things, and you were in a position where you had to win and you were in, and you did. So I think Moy's team is another team that is rolling pretty well right now. My team went strong. Good thing I had that long run in first place, because then it's been like up and down for my team, and I luckily, was able to get a couple. I think I went 500 in the last like 5 weeks, which or not 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and that kept me afloat. So Dale's team, Dale had another year where he kind of started up and down and then finished strong. Last year, same thing. Last year he started really tough and then had to make a crazy run. Adam just always the last 4 years, team has always been in the top of the rankings every season and just maintains, and that's why he's won a couple times. And then Eric, pre-draft, had himself in a great position to build a team. He capitalized on that, got a great team, went through some, I wouldn't say adversity, but things that didn't really go his way, played some teams on their best weeks, and when he did lose, and he still came out, and made the playoffs. So, and in a great position to win this thing. I think that hit everybody's team, right? Carlos, Moy, Dale, Adam, Eric, and myself. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, if you guys have any comments about the season, what teams really surprised you? I think Justin, for me, came into the league and just competed the whole time, and I think he definitely got the itch to play, and he really, hopefully, he jumps in more on the trades and stuff. But speaking of trades, did you guys have a trade that put you in that upper echelon of a team, or like took you from being that middle ground team to the step up, a move or a ad or a trade that made you you felt like, damn, my team now is complete? And post in the comments. I always make more moves than people think I should in terms of trades. Justin didn't make his team better throughout the season like we all did with trades. Well, I know he didn't make. I'm hoping he makes more trades next year now that he's kind of got the itch for the year. But I think if he would have made some trades, I think maybe that's what you're saying. He could have made his team even better. So, but yeah, going back to what I was saying, I made some trades that I kind of maybe dropped the ball on. The Nelly Cruz Flaherty trade for DeGrom. I don't even have those guys on my team anymore. So Eric definitely got the better of that. I think Dale, you getting Garrett Cole helped a lot. I think that worked out to being a fair trade. I know we value pitching more in our league, so the majority of the league would say you got the better half of that trade. But Charlie Blackmon has been great for me, and I needed offense at the time. I think it worked out. The trades that Alejandro made, he was in contention all the way to the last about 2 weeks, and he even made himself in a better position for next year for his team by getting those draft picks. So I think if he would have made the playoffs, Alejandro, I would say, was like manager of the year. If I had to give a manager of the year for this year on a whole, I would say probably Eric. Eric, from last year till now, what he's done in terms of getting draft picks and the players he did pick up. He picked up Goldschmidt, Arenado, Trout, picked up, added Alonso. These things you can't. He picked up DeGrom from me. Got Strasburg on it, one of his best years. So these things you can't ignore. Eric, as a whole, I think, is the manager of the year. I think he'll have one of the top records. And again, I think he clinched a playoff bye. So My vote's for Eric of Manager of the Year. Maybe we could put up a poll. You guys can maybe nominate a couple others, just based on not just based on them making the playoffs, but based on like a whole body of what they did for fantasy since post last season. Maybe Justin as a new rookie manager, being in contention all the way up to the last week. Maybe Adam for coming back, dropping out, coming back, picking up a couple great MVP type players and drafting Yelich, and then picking up Bellinger in that trade. I'm gonna let you guys vote. Maybe we could pick a top 3 for Manager of the Year and put a vote on the group me. But I would say Eric is my vote. Looking in terms of looking at the teams that weren't so successful, I actually pulled up a stat. So I went on the Yahoo desk. When you go on a desktop or laptop, and you can kind of see the full fantasy page, and I look at the record book option, and it said that and this kind of makes sense, but based on how the teams did at the end of the year, their ranking and records, and looking at them and the success they had, they reflect on those who played those teams the most, I guess. And David had this hardest schedule based on who he's faced that ended up in like the best team. So David faced the best teams the most this year, or the most difficult teams this year, or he faced teams that put up the best stats when they played him. So ironically, he's in last place, but he did, according to Yahoo, had the hardest schedule. Now, I guess I could talk about those kind of things I picked up. So the teams that made the playoffs are looking like how it's going to plan out with Eric, Adam, Dale, myself, Carlos, and Moy making the playoffs. I posted up a little interesting stat for each one. Start with Moy. Wait, hold on. Let me catch up with you guys on the comments first. Cheers to a good week. It was closer than it looked. Fun year. It was a tight race. Yeah, okay. My trade with Alex, getting Escobar and Syndergaard. Yeah, that was big. Escobar had his like career year, right? And then Syndergaard had a strong year. I wouldn't say his best year, but he had a strong year. Anthony Ray says, "You're cute." Oh, thank you. What about me? Started with out one first rounder picks and traded that. All right, Moy. I guess. Okay. Yes, you didn't have your first round pick, but I wouldn't say like you did that to yourself, though. Like you traded that pick. I don't know. Like, yeah, that was good, and you made playoffs and you stayed in contention. Picked up a couple good ads. Again, if people agree with Moy and think he should be one of the managers of the year, cool. Like, can tell me why. Maybe you can put it out there on the comments of the group me. But Moy says his picks traded that I made kept me here. I think in terms of people who built a case for manager of the year, I think Eric as a whole built that. In terms of me, but that's just me. My management was great. It's about managing the team. There's no lie. Like, that's why, and I'll get to the interesting facts that I put together, but there's a reason why in this league anybody can beat anybody. You can have a star and lose to anyone. It happened this week. Eric does have, after this week, he will have 8 or 7 losses. Ray got that team at the end with all those studs and lost in the postseason, I think. It's anyone can beat anyone. I was in first place and took back-to-back losses that knocked me out of first this year. So it definitely is about managing. It's definitely about staying on top of your team, looking at who the hitting matchups, what pitchers are your hitters going up against, and trying to set your lineup accordingly. Is there some luck to it? Maybe. But I really think those who pay attention are more successful, right? You can have the best team ever, but if you're not paying attention to your team or looking at matchups, like, then your team isn't going to be in the best position to win. So it definitely is about managing, Moy. But I can't give you that nod because everybody made the playoffs. Obviously, was a good manager. So, but yeah. So look, I'm getting some texts. Let's look at the texts. I'm glad.
It says you got the third pick.
I'm glad a few of you are on. That's awesome. Thank you guys. I'll cheers to you guys. I'm about to finish this one, and then maybe AJ can get us another round. Let's see. Eric. David gave up Bellinger for Bauer. Terrible trade. Moy also gave up his first and second pick for next year. Cheers. Moy, you gave up your first and second for next year too? Is that? Tell you what, if you get into the postseason next year, then yeah, hands down, you're the manager of the year. If you gave up your first and second this year, I've been trying to keep up with all the trades and stuff that's happening, but since like week 17, my head's just been checked out, and all I've been focusing on is like I got to make the playoffs. Especially when I started losing, I was like, "Fuck, man, I needed wins." But yeah, cheers, Eric. So those 6 teams for Moy, the stat that I picked up was in terms. Okay, so looking at all the stats and team stats, individual stats of on Yahoo on their record book, Moy consistently had the largest margin of points in each victory. So Moy averaged 7.7 points, a 7.7 margin in every victory. That was his average, and that was the largest. So overall, Moy beat people by more, I guess, on an average, by the most categories or points. I think you guys get what I mean. Carlos currently has 5 now with this win, a 6-game winning streak to make it to the playoffs. I thought that was pretty cool that he won 6 weeks in a row. Me, I have in terms of since we started playing fantasy, I have a 364 average on the season, and that's like the best all time and since we started. As a whole, my offense that I've drafted from the beginning has been an average of 364. So that was the top. Dale has the most matchup wins all time, 211 now, 210 now with this week's win. So Dale has the most in our league since the beginning, the most matchup wins of all time. Adam has made the playoffs 4 straight years in a row. We know it's not easy making the playoffs, and to make it 4 years straight is impressive, including a couple wins or a win. And then Eric, this year he held first place the longest of anyone, and Eric also has made the playoffs twice, and 3 times, and of those he's won half the time. So every time Eric makes the playoffs, he makes into the semifinals or finals. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, so that's kind of some interesting stats on each team. Looking at the playoffs now, let's look at the playoff preview. This is going to be crazy. Okay. I really try to not look at the playoff stuff so much. But if it were to end the way it's ending right now, Eric would have 14 total points with a 14-7 record. Adam would have a 14-7 record. But since he's coming off a win and Eric's coming off a loss, thank you. He would jump Eric and I guess win that $1,000. So cheers to that. Dale would go 13-7-1, so he would have 13.5 points and stay at third. I would, if I get a tie, I'll have 12. I'll be set 12, 7, and 2. So that'll give me 13 points. Carlos with the win would get 13 points. Now I think a win jumps him over me with a tie. So Carlos, I think, would go to the 4 seed, and I would go to the 5 seed with the tie. And then Moy jumps into the 6 seed with a win. He would have 12 points, and jump Eric because Eric jump Joe. Now Joe has 12 points right now, and he would have this. He would be 11, 8, and 2, and Moy would be 11, 8, and 2. But since Moy's coming off a win and Joe's coming off a loss, Moy would jump to the 6th spot, which means that in the quarterfinals, you'd have Eric and Adam with the bye. Adam with the 1 seed, Eric with the 2 seed. 3 would play 6, so Dale would play Moy, and I would play Carlos. So even though I'm the 4 seed and he'd be the 5 seed and we just switch, I would play Carlos in the first round. Dale would play Moy in the first round. Now, I don't know how it's going to break down after that. I think 4 or 5 play – the winner of 4 or 5 play 1. I think it's based on overall record after that. But if you're going to get a bye this year, it's going to get a bye. The way Carlos's team is playing well, Moy's team is playing well, Dale and I have our hands full. So, again, it's been a great season, guys. And I appreciate you guys watching the video with me. Participating in the video with me, and cheers to another season, and to the playoffs for those that made it. Eric, Adam, Dale, myself, Carlos, and Moy. Well done, guys. Oh man, playoffs are gonna be rough. But 3 pitchers, don't forget. Playoffs, you get 3 pitchers. Everything else kind of stays the same. And it's going to be interesting to see if the players that you have are on teams that are in contention. Do they get better? I mean, I've always believed in the mentality that players in the MLB that are in contention play better. So if you have a lot of them, I think you're in a good spot, unless you have like superstars that always play well. So looks like I'm playing Carlos week 1, and Dale, you got Moy. Why don't we look at, let's see the records when you guys played each other. I'm kind of interested to see who's got the advantage in terms of the season. So Moy played Dale last week, and Moy beat him 14-4. That was week 20. Let's see when you guys played again. When's the last time you guys played, Moy and Dale? Oh, Moy beat Dale twice this year. So Moy beat Dale 9-6 in week 7 and beat him 14-4. I played Carlos, I believe, twice this year. Let's see. I think I started the season against Carlos. Carlos or Chewy? No, I started the season against Carlos, and I lost in week 1 to Carlos, 9-7. So let's see. Let's go to week 15. So 14. And in week 14, I beat Carlos. So 10-6. So me and him got a split for the season. Moy beat Dale twice this season. So that's interesting, but we'll see. All right, guys, stream, and good luck in the playoffs. And those, great season, guys. Thanks to next year. But except for me, Moy, Eric, Adam, Dale, and Carlos, to the playoffs, guys. Peace.